In this video, I'm building even more of your fears in LEGO, so let's go. Now I'm from the Midwest, which means we get a ton of tornadoes, and they can be incredibly destructive, taking out entire buildings with ease, so that's going to be our first build. But let's set the scene first. So I whipped up this classic red barn that has white trim and these big swinging doors, as well as these black plates for the roof. To access the inside, you can swing out this wall where you'll find a lamppost and this stall for the family horse, Larry. He can stick his head out of the barn windows too. There's a table of tools, as well as some on the wall that Jethro can use for his projects. There's also an upstairs where you'll find bales of hay and a pitchfork, a rat scurrying around, and a telescope looking out of the barn window. There's also this ghost floating around. The next thing I added was this pig pen, because Jethro loves frying up some bacon. But scooping up the poop is the worst. Clara May takes care of the sheep on the farm, shearing their fur, and also tends to this garden that has a ton of beautiful flowers. The family also uses chickens to harvest their own eggs. So now that we have our farm set up, it's time to start on the tornado itself, which was a bit of a challenge to stabilize since they are narrow on the bottom and widen out at the top. I gathered up a ton of these slopes, along with some gray plates and bricks, to try to get the shape right, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now the simple thing to do would just be to take it and mash it into the farm. Which is pretty fun, but I wanted it to really spin to make it even better. I set up this green box and used some gears to make what is basically just a turntable for the tornado to sit on top of. However, finger spinning still wasn't cutting it, and honestly it was pretty lame. So I got out this motor that came with this LEGO Boost set, and it's pretty cool because it's actually controlled by this app, even letting you control the speed, making the tornado a lot better, and actually intimidating to LEGO minifigures. And you can connect them to it by just using these clear pieces, which makes it pretty hilarious. But anyways, let's see it take out the farm.
Wow.
On the last episode, by far the most commented fear was heights. That tingly, skittish feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach when looking over an edge is something that almost everyone can relate to. And what better way to do that than with a LEGO skyscraper? So I gathered up a ton of black window pieces and went to work. The final result ended up being pretty tall. However, we have to get a minifigure all the way up there on the roof, leading us to a related fear, elevators, which can be kinda creepy since they're an enclosed space that would leave you helpless if something went wrong or if one of the cables just suddenly broke. To get to the elevator, I needed to set up the lobby on the first floor. There's a reception desk, this fancy lamp, and a cart for your bags that can roll around. I also added in these workers. The elevator shaft works as a track that guides the elevator car, and I use this string as the cable that can pull it up to the top of the skyscraper. Just hope that nothing goes wrong on your way up. At the top of the tower, if you move this plate, you can send the elevator and the minifigure inside crashing down to their deaths. But let's go ahead and add in the motor and see what happens. And surprisingly, it actually worked really well. However, this elevator shaft was extremely fragile. Since the tower looked plain on its own, I set up this road outside of it along with these street lamps and some trees, making it look way more presentable. Back at the top of the tower, he's probably wandering around scared to death, and even though he's scared of heights, he's also curious, leading him to just take a peek over the edge. But the view is so intense that he gets a sudden feeling of vertigo, causing him to lose his balance and fall over the edge to his death. And if you want to be even more cruel, you can set up a deadly spike. That's enough trauma for one minifigure, but since we have this tower, I figured we'd go ahead and add another floor, a secret one. You see, another fear that some people have is secret societies, such as the Illuminati and other unknown groups, who try to control the world through their hidden influences. In our case, Danny and Jim, the lobby workers, are members of such a group, reporting to their leader, Master Von Evil Chuckle. They meet around this triangular table, and surrounding them are creepy candles, ancient artifacts and relics, and this golden trident. They have a pet owl too, because it seemed like the best fit for a secret society. They have access to secret knowledge on these slabs of hieroglyphics, and their creed has been etched in secret symbols onto this slab of stone. These books contain ancient lore, as well as a record of the rules they've broken. To launch their secret plans, they simply push this big red button. A fear that a ton of kids have is going to the doctor, dreading the thought of having to get a shot, or something even worse. A lot of kids hate going to the dentist as well, since so many movies talk about drills and root canals. These clear blue window pieces have a doctor's office feel to them, so that's where I started. I then gathered up a ton of doctor accessories that LEGO has released over the years that are really detailed. In the doctor's office, there are some cabinets and a heart monitor, as well as that bed table thing you always have to sit on before getting a shot. On the dentist's side, the operating table can lean back, putting you at their mercy. This adjustable lamp is the kind that can spin and shine down in your face, and just for good measure, I added in these scary tools as well. The roof has a red and white color scheme, and I added this medical cross to the front of it. The entire thing can swing open, showing the doctor's office on one side and the dentist on the other. Another fear that a ton of people said was rejection, and for a lot of people that takes place at school. So I set up this hallway with some lockers, along with this picture of the principal and a poster for the school mascot, and sprinkled in some students. And today, Timmy has finally decided to work up enough courage to ask his crush on a date.
Should I ask her?
Definitely. I double dog dare you.
Okay, here goes. Want to be my GF?
Ew.
Never in a million years.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Next up, we have the fear of flying. In spite of it being technically way safer than driving, if something does go wrong, it can go really wrong, since you're literally in a metal tube miles over the ground flying at 500 miles per hour. So I started by putting together this LEGO City airplane. It has these cool engines, and I customized it to fit more passengers, all of which I tried to make look either concerned or scared. I also added this bathroom in the back, complete with a toilet, sink, and door. To help calm down the passengers a bit, I added this stewardess who has a snack cart. It includes chocolate, pizza, drinks, and slushies, which at least make going down in an airplane a little bit better. Flying the airplane, we have Captain Wingnut and co-pilot Ace Flapsworth. With everyone ready for takeoff, the crew closes the door and takes flight. However, while sailing over the ocean, they encounter a horrible storm, causing a ton of turbulence. Suddenly, the plane is struck by lightning and one of the engines catches on fire and explodes, sending the plane crashing down into the ocean. However, Billy survives and rises up from the wreckage. As he swims, he eventually washes up on the shore of a deserted island, which is our next fear, being completely stranded. We're starting with this cool baseplate that only ever came in one classic pirate set all the way back in 1989. To customize it, I started with this tree that connects to a ton of branches using these sprout pieces. I then added this monkey that likes to throw poop. On the side, I built up this cave where a deadly leopard lives. When Billy hears the leopard stalking him, he takes off across the island, barely escaping it. As it gets dark, he spends his first night on the island with his only shelter being a few leaves. The next day, he trips across a vine, disturbing a snake that lurches out and bites him, weakening him even more. Trying to survive, Billy explores the island and is able to find a stick and some rocks that he fashions into an axe. While using his new tool, he cuts down a tree and uses the wood to begin building a shelter. He lays down a floor with bamboo planks and uses some bushy leaves as a pillow and weaves some vines into a blanket. And he even builds this slanted roof to keep him dry and out of the sun. As the days go by, he trains this toucan to fly to fruit that he can't reach on his own. Even though he's mastered island life, Billy is really lonely, so he gathers up some more wood and builds himself a raft. He even uses his undies to make these sails. Using his last plank as an oar, he pushes off from the shore and sets sail for home, journeying across the open ocean.